Hi guys, this is Leo's here, CEO and founder of Leo Lee Educations. And in today's live stream, I just love to tell you a bit about my own story, how I got my residency here in Australia, and what are some takeaways, what are some lessons that I have derived from there. And I hope that this lesson will be very helpful for you. It will save you lots and lots of time if you're planning to apply for your permanent residency in Australia. But just before I begin, I just want to reintroduce myself again. My name is Leo, and I run a company called Leo Lee Educations, and we are an education migrations agents. We help our clients to study in Australia, migrate to Australia, find jobs in regional Australia, and also RPR, which is to convert the experience into an Australia certificates. But in today's video, I'd love to share with you my own journey on how I got my visa after getting refusal for 3 times, and I really hope that you will learn some lessons from there, and you can use it so you will not have to go through what I've gone through. So I came to Australia about 4 years ago, and when I first came here, I came here to do a degree in business management. So the first lesson you can learn is do not do a generic degree like a business management degree, because there's not much occupation that you can apply for after you graduate if you plan to get a PR here. So the first lesson would be try not to study some degree that is very generic, very general, like a bachelor degree in business, for example. So back then, I chose to do it, and because I have done some study in New Zealand before I go to Australia, so I only need to come to Australia to do about 1 year to get my bachelor. Because in New Zealand, I have already completed my diploma. So when I moved to Australia, I just need to do my 1 year study. And just to keep it short, after I come here, I start to fall in love with this place. I start to like Australia, which is probably 90% plus of you guys watching this think the same way. You might, in the beginning, you might not want to stay here, but once you come here, you start enjoying this environment. You love this lifestyle. You love this sort of this country, and so you want to stay, right? So for me, same thing happens. I really love it. I enjoy it, and so I asked myself, okay, well, how can I stay permanently? That's when I start to explore different options. So fast forward a bit. After I finished my bachelor degree, I managed to find a job. I started as an intern. It's a marketing intern positions, and then I worked my way up to a part-time positions and to a full-time management positions. It was an agency in Sydney, and I started working for them. And but during this time, I applied as a skill assessment as a restaurant manager, because I do have experience as a restaurant manager when I was in New Zealand. However, VetAccess fails me because they said that I do not have the right experience they were looking for, and my former employers were not very supportive of my applications. So when the VetAccess actually contacted my former employer in New Zealand, they did not really fully support, and really they did not really tell everything they should have told the VetAccess about my positions when I was working there as a restaurant manager. But to keep it short, I failed that, so I failed my skill assessment as a restaurant manager. So, but I was not demotivated. Indeed, I was looking at other options. Okay, so I failed my skill assessment as a restaurant manager. What skills assessment can I apply for? And luckily, as I was mentioning to you, I was working full time as a business development manager for an agency in Sydney, and I worked there for 1 year. And luckily, I applied for it as I applied for skill assessment as a marketing specialist, and I got it. I got my skill assessment as a marketing specialist after working there for full time for 1 year. Now, keep in mind, for marketing specialist, full time means 20 hours a week. It does not mean 38 hours like most other occupations. For vet access, they require 1 year full time means 20 hours a week. All right. So after that, I got my skill assessment, and then but during the same time, I have to I have to apply for another student visa if I want to apply for my 485 visa, right? Because I only have 1 year COE here to study, and then I need to have another, and so I need to apply. I want to apply for the postgraduate visa 485. So 1 year alone is not enough. So my former migration agents, he told me to do another 1 year study. So he told me to do a diploma in accounting. Then after that, I can get my 485. Naive enough, I took on his advice, and while I was doing the 1 year diploma, I thought everything was all good. By the time we finished the diploma, about to apply for 485, he told me that I cannot apply for 485 because I have done a bachelor degree in business, and now I completed a diploma in accounting. That would not be sufficient. That would not meet the requirement for the 485 visa. But of course, in the beginning, he didn't say that. In the beginning, he said it was okay. So again, like I said, another lesson for you here is you gotta do your due diligence. You cannot trust just one source of information. You need to do your due diligence. In my case, it was my fault that I did not do my due diligence. I was trusting him, and as a result, I paid the price. So once we went to apply for 485, we knew from the start that we're going to get refusal, but we have to apply anyway because otherwise I will not get any visa to stay here further. So we apply for it. We got 485 visa refusal. This is my second time I failed in terms of visa. So so I got visa refusal. Then immediately we have to apply for the AAT, which is the appeal, the appeal administrative tribunal. Unfortunately, we have to apply, and so I was on my bridging visa A for a very long time. Okay, for at least another 1.5 to nearly 2 years on bridging visa A, while I was waiting for my AAT hearing. Okay, so I got my visa. I got my after I got my applied for my AAT. I got on my bridging visa A. Luckily, with my bridging visa A, it allows me to work and study full time, so which was a blessing, right? So I was still working for that agency company, and at this time I applied for the state nomination in Tasmania under small business owner. Because back then, if you have about 3 years experience, and if you have a management positions, and you have experience running a business and experience managing a business, and if you have a great, fantastic business idea, you can actually apply for a small business owner category in Tasmania. I applied for it, and again, I failed. Okay, for the third time, I failed it. The reason was Tasmania government said I did not have enough experience, and also my business, it was a franchise more than it was my own business. Again, all this advice, all these things, again, I did not learn my lessons from the mistake before. I actually, again, trusted my migration agents. He said that you can apply for the small business owner category in Tasmania. I took on his advice without really doing any research, and again, I paid the price. Again, I got a negative result from Tasmania government, right? So it was so I failed again. It was not a good feeling, I can tell you. As you might have seen, I failed my nominations. I failed my skill assessment as a restaurant manager in the beginning. I failed my 485 visa, and now I failed my nomination as a under a small business owner category in Tasmania. Now I'm still on my bridging visa, but I understand that my time is ticking, right? Because even though I'm on bridging visa, even though I do have my full working rights and my full study rights and everything, but if I do not take advantage of this time, then I'm going to run out of time in no time, right? Because once I got my hearing, then I have to start making solid decisions. So what happened next was that during this time, I was actually very depressed and everything, and I started to looking for different options. And one of the options I found was I can go to Tasmania and apply for jobs. If I work there for at least 3 months, back then it was 3 months, then I can apply for my nominations. So what happened was I took a lot of effort to call multiple employers. It could go up to hundreds of employers in Tasmania, and I asked them to give me a job. As you can expect, that most of them, the answer were a blunt no, because there was not many jobs back then. Not like now, there's so many jobs opportunity in Tasmania, but back then it was not the case. It was very rare that you can find jobs there, especially professional jobs. Because my skill assessment was a marketing specialist, so I was looking for marketing positions. So I apply again and again, and I look for all kinds of jobs, but everybody say no. And finally, after about 4 months, I finally got a proper job interview, and I passed the interview and I got the job. All right, but of course, how I got the jobs I can tell you in another video, because it was something that it's not that easy, right? There's a lot of techniques I have used to get me the job, but I want to talk to you about that in another video. So fast forward, I worked that job. I was there doing it for 3 months, expecting to apply for the nomination afterwards. But just right when I hit the 3 months period, they changed the rules to 6 months experience to get the nomination. So I have to stay for another 3 months, do another 3 months, and then apply for the nominations. And it took me probably 6 months, about 5 months before I got my state nominations from Tasmania. And then at that time, on the same date, let's hear this, on the same day I got my state nomination, I also get my my AAT results, which is a negative, okay, because I went for hearing, right? So it was negative. On the same day I got my nomination, I got the negative result for AAT. So which then requires me to apply to the federal court. So I have to, because I want some extra time in Australia, right? So I apply to federal court, which makes the whole thing more complicated. But I applied for federal court, and they give me up until another 10 to 12 months. So that gave me some good extra time. So I applied for federal court. At the same time, I applied for my visa. But this time I have to fly overseas to apply for it. And fast forward, now I got my residency here. It was a very, very long journey, but I hope you have learned a few things or two from there, right? First is you got to do your due diligence, okay? You got to do your research. You got to choose the good agents to work with. Two is you got to look at different options. Back then, if someone was telling me that rather than doing the 6 months of jobs, I can actually do my 1 year study, I would probably have done that, because that would make the whole thing easier, and I could have got my nomination way faster, right? But then, you see, no one was telling me anything. Even the agents that I was going to, I still until today, I don't know why they don't know these informations. Now that we work as an agency, I'm really surprised how they could not know these informations, right? But there two is that you need to look at different options, okay? For me back then, I didn't know there was a study option that can help me to get the nominations. All I know was just the jobs. So I really worked my heads off to find the jobs, right? And three is your plan for migration might not be a straight line. You gotta know this, right? It's not straight line for you to get your PR or to get your visa up here. It's not that simple. Sometimes you have to go, this and that. So expect that, okay? And as you might know, a lot of people nowadays they expect to get their PR right away, which is still possible, but it's getting very tough now because you want to see more 491 coming up. But again, I hope this video finds you well. I hope you learned something about these informations. If you want our support, if you need our help with job search in regional areas, with starting regional areas, or to get the nomination from regional areas, do yourself a favor, DM us, okay? Send us or just send us an email to info@leolee.edu.com.au, or simply comment below with your questions, just put your name, put your numbers and your email address so we can reach out to you, because I personally experienced what it was like to have a bad experience, so I know how it feels, and one of my commitment is to make sure this won't happen to my clients. And because we have offices and we have connections and networks in regional areas, definitely we are the best, we have the most suitable agents that could help you out if you're planning to go to regional areas. So hope this message finds you well. If you think this video is helpful, share it with your friends, so they know this information. I'm gonna put it down in the description with the links to all our social media, so you can connect with me, even my contact numbers, you can call me up. So until then, I hope 2020 will be a great year for you. My goal is to help 200 people this year to get their visa in Australia, and to do that I would need your help. To do that I would need to reach out to you, so that's what exactly I'm doing. So I really look forward to helping you. So anything we can do, you know who to look for. Okay, be great.